please, after reading the caption of the broadcast, read the description as well. Then like it, share it, invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends too. Tell them all that Mayegun today and Mayegun is live. Thank you. So tonight, which also should serve as our Sunday sermon, I don't think I should repeat myself what that means. But in the long run, right? If you are a newcomer on Mayegun's Diary Political, don't worry, we'll catch up. Okay. So today we are starting with the latest outburst that is also a bit of historical kind of conspiracies too, and that is the statement from Sule Lamido, the former governor of Adamawa, of Jigawa. Now, Sule Lamido, who is a PDP, stalwart, is also considered as one of their stronger pillars in PDP. So they are talking about 2027, and he said a lot. Okay, but we have picked about 2 or 3 from what he said, just to kind of like rejig, our understanding of the character that Tinubu is. Tinubu is the only politician in the whole wide world that has no siblings, like blood for real. He has no father. He's got no mom, but he's got an adopted mom. He's also the guy who graduated from a school before they even established the school at all. He's also the guy, who went to Chicago State University of Chicago. But from the file they have made public now, from the FBI file, it is also this same Tinubu that went in as Bola, as a girl. Then he graduated as a man, kind of. It is this same Tinubu. So he's a man that is, mysterious, right? And somehow that seems to be what attracted, the sewage dwellers in that contraption and criminals alike to him. Because to them, we don't get papa, we don't get mama, we don't get anything at all that anybody can trace to anywhere. He's the president of Nigeria today, right? But there is a sort of like a repeated stories which these guys have been, the brain behind. When we were growing up, there were so many kind of lies, propagandas that we were fed. And it is because the adults of that era, they were at the same time, politically biased, or maybe they were made to be or conditioned to become that way, right? And the likes of Tinubu and their gang, they really, they rode on that. Built media empire on it, political empire on these same lies. And every attempt to try to expose anything around Tinubu is always met with resistance from people that are believed to be the beneficiaries of his benevolence, that is a call. So he's presented as pro-democracy individual. Just that when Babangida was doing his transition in 1990, postponing and postponing, so there was a time that Babangida experimented, God knows what that kind of government was called, right? But it was a government headed by a military president. First, he changed his title from head of state to president. That's Babangida. Then, in that same Babangida time, right, it was the president, military, and the civilians were the state governors. He also had a National Assembly, the Senate, and all that stuff. Yeah. So it was around that time that Babangida was planning, his transition, in all sincerity, that Tinubu and his gang, who were at the time possibly running away from the case of the American DEA pursuing the Nigerian drug dealers and their partners in America back then. True story, right? So Kolu returned back to Nigeria. When he got back to Nigeria, he quickly joined the political transition of Babangida, and he was elected, courtesy of his mother, Abibatu Mogaji, adopted mother. All right. So Tinubu became a senator, which was his, and it was, I think it was also the party secretary or something like that. Anyway, Kolusha, with that, he became part of their national dish. And they were the people urging Babangida on, by the way, right? So we don't know what went wrong when Abacha suddenly, like surfaced. It seemed that, Abacha targeted the likes of Kolu and many others, because to Abacha, these were the guys within the corridors of power. They are like our pals. Do you understand? So, and we all know that it's about power, selfishness, and all of that. So why are they all thinking they could, like usurp me and other stuff? So Tinubu left Nigeria to London, not to America, where he's been living. Because if he was to return back to America, because Muiz Agbeli, or what's that guy's name? His partner, right? Who was arrested and he was jailed in America at the time, one of the witnesses. So Tinubu ran to London. And in London, he didn't have to work. He's got so much money, drug money. And that was when Nadeo was formed to fight Abacha. And some of you need to know this. That's what Sule Lamido is trying to kind of remind everyone, that the narrative is so different today. They are parading themselves as democratic people. But when you look at, they are in power right now, and you can just look and be like, there's nothing democratic about these guys. Like all of their actions, their deed and everything is in total contrast to what you can say, oh, these are progressives, democratic, I don't know. They don't feel democratic in a way that, human rights abuses seems to be at the worst right now. Say something and you can disappear. And these are the guys who told people that they had to fight the military so that Nigerians would have to suffer that. Today, you know what it is now. How the DSS can make you disappear just like that. Right? So let's hear Sule Lamido. So anyway, the story is that around that time that they said Babangida was going to annul the June 12th, there were actual people that wanted the election annulled. Not only that, like what you're witnessing today in Nigeria is not new. It's been like that. Tinubu's adopted mother, Abibatu Mogaji, he's also a politician, right from the days of the Awolowos, the Jakon days and all that, right? Using, Yaloja, the Market Women Association, sort of like influence for that time. It's on record that Abibatu Mogaji was among the many other groups that, rallied and gave solidarity to Babangida, while our supposed adopted son, Bola, is in the UK funding Nadeo. You get that? So the Nadeo then was to fight Abacha, because Abacha shouldn't be part of the plan. The Nadeo was to fight Abacha, but they told everybody that they were fighting for democracy. Well, we know better now anyway, at least, except for those who probably still want to live in that lie. Right? Well, hear this. I'm coming back.
You see, I feel highly entertained by Tinubu's rhetorics, the way he's dramatizing his own role, in Nigerian democracy. Luckily, we're all alive. Luckily, we're all alive. We're all there. We're all, participants in that particular, sphere of political activity. So I was in the middle of it. Tinubu became relevant and noticeable after Abacha took over government. Before then, he was in the Senate, was the secretary of the party. And with all respect to him, you see, he was part of those people who were supporting Babangida's annulment of June 12th. He was part of it. His own mother, Haja Mogaji from Lagos, was organizing Lagos marching women to come to Abuja to pledge, support for Babangida. I'm saying this because it's simply a history. I mean no harm. I mean don't mean to embarrass him. But then you see, he was actively handing gloves to Babangida. Now, when Babangida saw the fact that he was having a problem with the party, he went to the National Assembly to address them. One infamous speech was, they are trying to incite you. It is you they are against. Tinubu was there, and the IU became very, very firm and straight on the issue of June 12th. He called a meeting, then being the only senior elected person in government at that time, as Senate President, he convened a meeting in Edo, in Benin. We went there with the governor, where we went there and reaffirmed our commitment to June 12th. All right? Babangida was so angry with IU. He only came, but he removed him and put in a better arrow. A better arrow, he put him there so that, so that they can be aligned to Babangida, political kind of machinations. So when Tinubu today, after being a Nigerian president, decided to rewrite history, trying to maybe deconstruct history and then rewrite it, then it is very, very amusing because he was part of the Babangida support of June 12th. He was part of it. Now, it was only when Abacha took over government that Tinubu then became a so-called activist of June 12th. Not only him, all those who are talking about June 12th in Nadeo, I mean no harm, I mean no disrespect. I'm simply saying what happened during that time. All of them, those who were in Nadeo, where were they on June 11th? They had no part in June 12th. They are not part of June 12th campaign. They're not part of the June activities. Whatever they are never, because most of them are saying they should down look. All of them, because they know ability they won't work out. So when Abiola won the election, and then after the annulment, they are all very, very passive. But suddenly, after Abacha came on board, removing Sonekam, they became activists. They formed Nadeo. Nadeo was opposed to election formation. Nadeo was something which was formed, to fight Abacha, not to fight democracy, not to fight for June 12th. So whatever Tinubu is doing today is simply reconstructing history the way he thinks is going to fit his own political interests. But then obviously he was a major supporter of Babangida. Ask Babangida, ask him. So when you talk about, honoring June 12th, what are those characters? Ebote, somebody who replaced Ayu for June 12th? Who are the others? All of them. So he ran away. We stayed behind. We fought Abacha. I was detained, because of my fight with Abacha. I was detained. He was detained. So all of us, Adamu Churuma, Bola Ege, Yoche Ayu, Kweme, and many others, Bagaji, all of them were there. We fought Abacha. We fought him because we were willing to risk our lives. Tinubu ran away. He was not in the country. He only came back after the whole thing was, after the call was very, very clear. So what I'm saying is, all those advocates of June 12th, they are more concerned with the bath water rather than the baby. They are more concerned because most of them were at the end of the meal. When the product was being processed, they simply picked up the product. The process which produced the product, they are not there. They're not part of it. They only pick the product. And today it's not about the victor, but it's about the victory more than anything else. So we make this kind of distinction. The difference between the victory and the victor. The Nadeo were more concerned with the victory than the victor. As far as they are concerned, in the bathwater they are trying to use, they are trying to hang on to their own kind of riding on top to reinvent, history in Nigeria. Otherwise, I feel embarrassed.
He has no job.
Now, don't get it twisted. All right? Let's get the story straight. Like he said that they were Babangida boys and they supported the annulment of June 12th. Two truths can coexist. Now, that they were Babangida boys, that is true. That Tinubu, as worse as he is, supported the annulment of June 12th, that is not true, as worse as Tinubu is. And here is the context or the backstory. from tiny memorial, at least from the earliest time that I can remember, Babangida, or should I say, from 1976, MKO Abiola has been part and parcel of the Khaki Boys. In fact, it is on record that there is no coup that took place until that of Abacha, that MKO Abiola did not participate in every coup since 1970, what? 1976, I don't know. That he was there, sure you get. So meaning he was close with all these guys. In fact, Tinubu, Babangida, Abacha, MKO Abiola, we have actually seen them all together in the, especially in that early 90s, 1990, 1991. So yeah, like they were Babangida boys. But when Abacha and the circumstances that they cooked together and said that Babangida should annul that election. There were other forces, but I'm not probably going to go into that. That part created Nadeo. That is also true. There was never anything Nadeo until Abacha took over. You see, when it was, there's no proof, but again, kind of makes sense, right? They said, when Babangida announced the annulment of the election to MKO Abiola, Babangida was pretty much like testing or looking for kind of like trouble, because the Khaki Boys have already pledged to him that they will be on his side. That when Babangida now announced Shonekon as the interim government, right? So, and some people went to court and all that. It was said that when Abacha was going to go and take over, that MKO Abiola was in fact aware. Like I said, I don't have any proof, but it was said that MKO Abiola trusted Abacha to right the wrongs of Babangida. And in fact, it was also said that to give Abacha his blessing, they said Abacha said he was going to spend a year and then return Nigeria back to democracy, which is going to be MKO Abiola. You see, all of this, they are like publicly available information. These were from people's interviews, those who were closer to them, those who, like books that people have written about all these events. Sule Lamido can't change that. Shouldn't change that. So then, how did Tinubu get involved? Immediately, Babangida annulled the election. There were those still pressuring. In fact, it was among the people the Abacha regime dissolved. How the National Assembly is hereby dissolved. You remember that famous broadcast of Abacha? All the NURTW road transport workers are hereby dissolved. Local government dissolved. Senate dissolved. This one, do you remember that video? So that was when Tinubu and others who were comfortable, even Segun Oshoba was governor of Ogun State then. The one that later came back in 1999 to become governor of Ogun State. Segun Oshoba. So it was, Tinubu was a senator. So they were comfortable to be civilians under military. So that's why I said that two truth can coexist. So when Abacha now dissolved everybody, Lagos Ibadan Expressway Media, which the likes of Tinubu, MKO Abiola, Concord, all their papers then, they were all over Abacha. In fact, I don't know. In fact, it was that they were initially praising Abacha until after like 6 months, and it became obvious that Abacha didn't plan to hand over to MKO Abiola. The drum just changed. The music changed. Abacha became this demon that, and it was later when he died that we realized that Abacha was so kind of famous in the social circle of the Southwest Nigeria. He was a GOC in Ibadan. All his friends, most of his friends, they were Yorubas from other places. Like the Abacha that I grew up was a monster. Abacha that just get people killed as a little young man. That was the Abacha I knew. But guess what? Those who made it happen, they were the Tifnumbus and others, all these guys were young. And why did they do all of that? Because they had to fight Abacha. He has kicked them out of power. He's